What if I told you that the entire story of the self-made hero, the lone genius who builds an empire from absolutely nothing, is a lie? And not just a little white lie, but a fundamental misunderstanding of how success actually works. Welcome to MindSwitch Books. In the next few minutes, we're going to completely detonate that myth using Malcolm Gladwell's masterpiece, Outliers. We're going to reveal the hidden forces that truly shape extraordinary achievement. So get ready, because your whole perspective on success is about to change forever.
Okay, so let's dive right in. We all know the story, right? It's the classic tale. It's Benjamin Franklin, the icon of going it alone and making it big. It's the story we absolutely love to tell ourselves, that success is all about your personal grit, your talent, and just pure willpower. We picture these great achievers as like the tallest oaks in the forest, growing all on their own, just from the strongest acorn.
But what if that's just the completely wrong way to look at it? Gladwell challenges us to stop staring at just the tree. He says, no, look at the entire forest. What kind of soil is it in? How much sunlight did it get? Were there a bunch of other trees blocking its way, or did it have a clear shot right at the sky? See, the huge radical idea in Outliers is that success isn't just about the seed, it's about the entire ecology that allows that seed to grow.
So, over the next few minutes, we're going on a journey to uncover all these hidden variables. We're going to see why your birthday can matter more than your raw talent, why the famous 10,000-hour rule is way more about luck than just hard work, and you're going to want to stick around for this one, how the job your great-great-grandparents did centuries ago could actually be influencing your skills today.
Let's kick this off with a concept that sounds so weird, it's almost like astrology. But trust me, it's not. It's a totally jaw-dropping look at how one simple, arbitrary rule can decide who gets a massive head start in life and who gets left in the dust.
Okay, so on your screen right now is the roster for an elite Canadian junior hockey team. Now in Canada, hockey is everything, so these kids are the absolute best of the best. It looks like just a list of names and dates, right? But look closer. Really stare at those birth months. There is a secret hiding in plain sight. Do you see it?
Is anything jumping out at you yet? And no, don't worry, it has nothing to do with your zodiac sign. It's something way, way more powerful. A hidden structure that sorts the good from the great before they've even had a real chance.
And there it is. An absolutely staggering number of these top-tier players were born in January, February, or March, and almost none of them were born at the end of the year. So why? It's shockingly simple. The cutoff date for age-class hockey in Canada is January 1st, so a kid born on January 2nd is playing against kids who could be almost a whole year younger. When you're 10 years old, that difference in physical maturity is a huge advantage. He's bigger, he's faster, he's more coordinated.
So what happens? That slightly bigger kid, he gets picked out as having more talent. He gets chosen for the special travel team, which means he gets better coaching, more practice time, and he plays against tougher competition. His tiny initial advantage doesn't just stick with him, it compounds. Year after year, it snowballs. This is a perfect example of what the sociologist Robert Merton called the Matthew effect. These initial advantages just accumulate, creating this feedback loop where the successful get more and more opportunities to be successful. The system itself is actually creating the outlier.
And this isn't just about what month you're born in, it's about the era you're born into. Think about it. The 1860s and 70s saw this massive economic shift in America with Wall Street and the railroads. It was a once-in-a-lifetime chaotic change. And who was perfectly positioned to build an empire? The guys born in the mid-1830s, people like Rockefeller and Carnegie. Now, fast forward a century. January 1975, the personal computer revolution kicks off. Who's the perfect age to jump on that? Well, not so old that you're stuck in your ways, but old enough to have some serious programming skills. Someone born in, say, late 1955. Someone like Bill Gates. He wasn't just brilliant, he was born at the absolute perfect moment in history.
Okay, let's build on that idea of timing and opportunity. You've definitely heard of the 10,000-hour rule, that magic number for becoming a true expert. But Gladwell shows us that the real story behind this rule has been completely misunderstood. It's not at all what you think it is. 10,000 hours. I mean, that's basically a full-time job for 5 straight years. The popular idea is that geniuses are just these people with superhuman discipline who put in the time. But what Gladwell's research finds is something way more interesting. Almost no one gets there on willpower alone. They get a lucky break.
The real secret to 10,000 hours isn't the will to practice. It's the extraordinary opportunity to practice. The Beatles got their hours in because of this totally bizarre gig in the strip clubs of Hamburg, Germany, where they were forced to play for 8 hours a night every single night. It was an incredible training ground. Bill Joy, the genius who co-founded Sun Microsystems, he got his hours because he just happened to be at the University of Michigan in the early 70s, one of the very first places in the world with a time-sharing computer system that gave him unlimited programming time. They didn't just work hard, they were handed a golden ticket, a rare chance that let them rack up those hours.
Okay, so you need the right timing and a golden opportunity. But that can't be everything, right? Surely you also have to have a once-in-a-generation brain, a crazy high IQ. Well, Gladwell looked at the data, and the answer is a pretty shocking no. Now, what's so great about this slide is the analogy. Gladwell says IQ is a lot like height for a basketball player. Yeah, you definitely have to be tall to play in the NBA. But once you're over that threshold, say 6'4", being 6'8" doesn't automatically make you a better player than someone who's 6'6". Other skills, agility, court vision, strategy, they all become way more important. And research shows intelligence works exactly the same way. Once your IQ hits about 120, which is basically good enough, having an even higher IQ doesn't really translate to more real-world success. And this brings us to the huge difference between raw brain power and what psychologists call practical intelligence. So meet Chris Langan. This is a man with an IQ higher than Einstein's. But he grew up in brutal poverty, and he never learned how to deal with the world's systems and authorities. He couldn't even talk his way through a simple problem with a college dean. Now compare him to Robert Oppenheimer, the guy who ran the Manhattan Project. He was also a genius, but he was raised in a wealthy home that practiced what's called concerted cultivation. This just means his parents were actively involved, nurturing his talents, encouraging him to question adults, teaching him how to negotiate for what he wanted. That skill, that social savvy, ended up being infinitely more valuable than Langan's extra IQ points. This one quote just perfectly captures the tragedy of Chris Langan's story. His car broke down. He needed to switch to an afternoon class to get it fixed, a totally simple request. But he just couldn't navigate the conversation. He couldn't persuade the dean. And just like that, the door was slammed shut on his academic future. Now contrast that with Oppenheimer, who literally tried to poison his tutor at Cambridge. He got caught, but he used his charm and his social skills to talk his way into just getting probation. That is the power of practical intelligence. So we've seen how timing, opportunity, and upbringing all shape success. But now we get to what is maybe the most profound, most mind-bending part of Outliers. Gladwell argues that our destinies are also powerfully shaped by these invisible cultural legacies passed down from our ancestors, sometimes from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And this just shows how deep these roots can go. For centuries, the borderlands of Britain were this lawless, violent place. And without reliable laws, the people there developed a fierce culture of honor. A man's reputation was everything, and any insult had to be met with immediate aggression. Well, these immigrants settled in the Appalachian Mountains in America, bringing that culture with them, which led to those famous bloody family feuds of the 19th century. But here's the unbelievable part. Recent studies show this legacy is still alive. When college students from the American South are insulted in an experiment, their stress hormones spike, and they become way more aggressive than students from the North. They are literally, unconsciously, living out the behavioral patterns of ancestors from 300 years ago. Here's another incredible example: the link between rice paddies and math skills. See, wet rice farming is unbelievably difficult work. It demands precision, persistence, and a deep belief that your hard work will pay off. That kind of work ethic is perfectly suited for solving complex math problems. But on top of that, Asian languages have a much more logical number system than English. They say 10-1 for 11, 10-2 for 12, 2 10s 2 for 22. This super clear structure makes basic math concepts much, much easier for kids to pick up and build on. So here's the bottom line: a cultural legacy of persistence, born from the kind of farming your ancestors did, combined with the logic of your language, can create this powerful, unseen advantage in something as modern as mathematics. It's a gift from your culture.
So after all of this, where does that leave us? What does this mean for how we should look at success, both in other people and in ourselves? Well, it means we have to adopt a completely new way of thinking, an Outliers mindset.
The big takeaway from Outliers isn't that hard work doesn't matter. Of course it matters. It matters immensely, but it's not the only thing that matters. Success is never, ever a solo performance. It's a gift. Outliers are the products of specific places and specific times. They're products of lucky breaks, hidden advantages, and cultural legacies they had absolutely no part in creating. They are the tallest trees, yes, but they're also the ones that grew in the richest soil with the most sunlight and the perfect amount of rain. Their success is theirs, but it also belongs to their entire world.
You know, this new perspective is kind of a superpower. It lets you shift the question from, how smart is that person, to, wow, what was their unique opportunity? It encourages us not just to praise the individual, but to understand and build the ecologies, the communities, the schools, the cultures that make greatness possible in the first place. So think about it. What are the hidden advantages in your own life? What legacies have shaped you? And how can you start creating opportunities for others?
Look, everything we've covered today is really just scratching the surface. To truly get it, to really feel the power of these stories, the hockey players, Bill Gates, the rice farmers, you just have to read the book. It is an absolute game changer. I'm not kidding. If you are serious about understanding the real architecture of achievement, then Outliers isn't optional. It's essential reading. So I've put a link in the description for you to grab your copy right now. And hey, if this deep dive switched on some new ideas for you, make sure you subscribe to MindSwitch Books because we break down life-changing books just like this every single week. Thank you so much for watching.